So today the Elite Controller Series 2 was finally released. This is the update or second version, the second iteration of the Xbox Elite Controller, and I just got mine in the mail. Now I ordered it from Amazon and literally just received it, so I'll be doing a small unboxing of the controller so you can know what to expect if you're interested as well, what's exactly in the box, what exactly it comes with, and I'll be doing my own small little bit of first impressions, perhaps with a little bit of gameplay. I'm not too sure yet. But I think we've been pretty long overdue for one of these controllers, an update to the Elite controller. And the biggest thing that I'm hopeful for that, honestly only time will tell is the long-term durability of this controller. I love the Elite controller, the first iteration, but the biggest problem with it, although it was a very quality controller, it had a lot of issues in terms of long-term durability. Things like the left bumper breaking, things like the tension on the sticks becoming non-existent. That's kind of the issue with mine currently, or the grips falling off. I've had, I think, nearly every issue in the book with one of these, unfortunately, but I keep going back to it because it feels so good. It's very ergonomic. It still is very high quality despite some of the long-term issues, but I'm really hoping that this new update to it, as much as it's brought some new cool features, really serves to be more durable in the long run. And I'll be doing 2 reviews for this. I'll be doing a review in a few days or a week after I get some really good time into this and get some opinions out about it, like some real opinions. And then, of course, I'll do a long-term review, talking about the durability and see if it actually held up compared to my first Elite controller. And I'll probably do a comparison of that. And I'll also do a small comparison of this controller compared to my previous Elite controller, the first Elite controller that I currently have as well. So that's enough talking. Let's get into it. All right, I'll put that to the side. So of course, just like the older Elite controller, we do get a case with it, which is really nice. So here's the case, of course. Looks pretty similar, to be honest. This one's slightly different, though. I believe this can charge it, if I'm not mistaken. But I believe it also serves... Yeah, so here's the whole... I believe the whole charging bit here. So you can use it to charge the controller as well, I believe. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty neat. In terms of what it comes with, let's take a look here. We get the standard size, which is nice. These ones have a different grip, though, which is really, really cool. So they have less defined grip, and they are, I believe, the standard size, which is really cool. I'm glad that they do that because, I don't know, not everyone's really a fan of this, like, very, very textured, rough grip that the Xbox One's controllers have. It comes with one taller stick, and then it comes with a domed stick of standard length. This is another thing that I'm really happy about because it came with domed sticks before, but they were taller, and I didn't really like that. I want to use the standard length personally for my preference, and if you do want a longer Control Freak-esque stick, you can use this one here. Of course, it does come with the default D-pad here, and then I believe this is the tool that you need for tightening the stick tension, which is another phenomenal feature that I'm really excited about. But this is the controller itself. Again, quite similar to the older Elite controller. First kind of immediate things I noticed is that I feel the overall shape feels slightly, ever so slightly different. The paddles, of course, are here on the back. I don't really use these ones. I only use the top ones. So they also feel like they are a lot clickier. So a big complaint that I've seen for this controller is that the paddles were too sensitive. And when I picked one up for the first time, I thought so too. They were incredibly sensitive. I really had to train myself to not push them by accident. Over time, obviously, I got used to that, and I really like them now. So this, if you're used to the first Elite controller, this is going to feel different. You can even hear, like, they are far more clickier. They feel a lot more like an actual button. So... Again, that's going to feel different, but I think that's honestly like a good difference. There's a lot more feedback. You have to put a little bit more pressure there, so maybe you won't be clicking that by accident. Of course, we have the interchangeable thumbsticks here, like usual. The D-pad. I believe this can have 3 profiles now, which is nice, which is why there's those 3 lights. which obviously illuminate when it's plugged in with what profile you have. I feel like, I'm not sure if this is terribly different or if it's just me. Just taking, the overall feel of it. The grips appear, obviously there's bigger grips now that appear to cover obviously more of the controller around the sides. And obviously the entirety of the main place you'd be holding the controller is covered by grips now, which feels rather nice. Like I said, the biggest thing for me with this controller is I'm interested to see what the long-term durability is. These grips traditionally on the older controller peel off. They come out of place. So I'm hoping that this really doesn't suffer that same kind of a thing. Again, only time will tell. Sticks feel good, obviously, it's a new controller. I feel like these sticks are less stiff. They definitely have more... They're less stiff than the Elite Controller 1 fresh out of the box, it feels. But they still have the right amount of tension. It's like a consistent degree of tension, which is really nice. Another issue for Elite Controller 1s, because I've been through so many of them, and I noticed this, the right stick, I've noticed, maybe because I play more FPS games, but if you did a circle like this, there were points where you'd feel clicks. Like it would click. I don't know if anyone else has had that issue, but I noticed these very, very minute things. And this feels very smooth. Like these sticks feel very smooth. The tension across it feels very consistent. So that's really nice. And the triggers now got a little bit of texture to it with 3 trigger stops now, which is cool. I don't really use trigger stops personally, but you can go full, half, or like very, very light. So the half step is a cool addition for those that like that feature. So now let's do a actual tangible comparison to the previous Elite controller. I'll grab that. So on the left here, we have my original Elite controller. This is the one that I currently use. So you can take a look at it here. And you can see that how it compares to the newer Elite controller. I'll try and hold them both in the shot here. So like I said, I feel like the shape is... Maybe it's just me. I was going to say it's ever so slightly different. But I think it's just this top silver part that's different. So it's much narrower in here. It doesn't dip. So it could just be a visual thing that's making it appear different to me. So again, nearly the same shape, similar things. One thing that I noticed immediately as well was the paddles. I use only the small paddles, which you can see, trying to again hold this in a decent place for comparison, which you can see are much bigger on the original Elite controller, even the small paddles. They're much smaller on the new Elite controller, so they take up less space, which I think is good. That's probably going to be more comfortable for most. I think that's, again, a good change. You can also see, obviously, the grips are different. There's no front grips on this Elite controller on the original, whereas on the new one, there is. And you can see now, so the way that the old Elite controller, the grips used to peel, were all like at these joints, like here, down here, at these joints along the side and over here. So the new Elite controller, I should put this on the back so you can kind of see that. The new Elite controller's grips don't really have that same joint at the back. What I'm concerned about is right here, and maybe along this line here. Again, we'll have to wait and see. But it feels and looks promising. Of course, it is new, so like I said, we'll really have to wait and see. And then lastly, I'll take a look at the other contents in the box, of course. So the rest of the contents in the box here, we're going to have our manuals. We're going to have the wonderful USB cable, the braided USB cable here for the Elite controller. This controller now uses USB-C, which is awesome. It's I feel like about time that's been updated, so that is great. I hope this USB cable is great because, again, I've experienced with the older one where it's a very nice USB cable, but over time it deteriorates and doesn't work so great anymore. So again, I have high hopes for this. I hope this will work better and have better durability overall. And again, it of course looks great. It's just a standard braided USB Type-C cord. USB-C to USB-A, I should say, right? And it's pretty damn long. It's pretty long. And then we have our manuals, which is obviously not the most exciting thing, but necessary because I don't know how to do a lot of features, like things like tightening your control sticks or the tension on the control sticks. So this is important stuff. You actually might want to give this a read this time around. Okay, well, there's a Game Pass, little Game Pass sample, I guess. 14-day. Whoever wants it first, grab it. Whoever gets this first gets it. Enjoy. Okay, so all we have to do is take off the sticks and just put the tool in and twist. That's exactly what I thought it would be, but I thought I would double check. So let's try it. So I'm going to try my right stick. I don't really have much reason for myself playing FPS games to tune the left stick, so I'm going to grab this. I believe we put it here. Yep, it just goes very lightly on top. So we just literally slide it there, almost like a screwdriver. And you just tighten it. There's about 2 steps, it seems like. 1, 2 steps of tension. So I'm gonna make it the first step. I'm gonna put the control stick back on. And it's slightly more weighted. This is, yeah, it feels like there's more tension overall. Definitely slightly more weighted. Then let's try the third step now. Or rather if you're counting the default as 1, the third step. And this is heavy tension. I feel a lot of resistance with that. So that's pretty good. All right, so everyone, I'm just going to be doing a quick kind of just first impressions gameplay. Don't expect this to be insane. This controller feels incredibly different, but I think it's different in a good way. Just got to get used to it. The immediate things I noticed, like I said, the paddles have a lot more tension. They do feel rather weird to me. It's not as tense or hard to use as the scuff paddles per se, which are very, very tense, and I very much dislike that. But they're definitely not as light as the old ones, which, like I said, was kind of a complaint for some. So I guess that's not a bad thing for most. For me, I'm just so used to the other one now, though, that it's a little odd. So because of that, I've actually swapped. I use the small paddles. I only use 2 of them. And I've actually swapped my left paddle to be on the lower slot now. So I used to use 2 of the small paddles on the 2 top slots. Now I'm using 1, the right side at the top slot. And then I'm also now using the left one at the bottom slot. It sounds really weird, but for some reason, the way my hand rests on this, it feels very weird to have my left paddle higher for whatever reason. It just feels quite odd. I'm using the second stage of the second option, the second, I don't know, tightness degree. I don't know what to call this, of tension on my control stick. So it feels very different. It's going to take a lot of getting used to, but I think this is better. I want to say this is something I'm going to commit to and get good with because it does seem to give me a little bit more fine control over movements. And I like that, providing that little bit of additional tension. I just need to get used to things like just not putting too much pressure in some scenarios and putting a little bit more pressure in others. It's just a little odd. You're gonna have to relearn some muscle memory. Like when going for flicks with snipes, it's gonna feel very different. I'm probably gonna have to put more pressure than I'm used to. However, when I'm using like a hand cannon per se and shooting, I'm probably going to have to put a little less, or make sure I'm not putting too much pressure. So again, it's all feel. It's very hard for me to describe these things because it is feel. You would have to just feel it for yourself. But compared to the older controller, this is kind of how it feels to me. I think it's all a decent thing. I think it's good for now. However, it's just something that I need to really get used to. Another thing is that the bumpers actually feel a lot more shallow. They feel a lot more like just, I guess, shallow buttons now rather than having more play. I feel like I'm pressing them way harder than I actually need to be pressing them, to be honest. And I think it's because on the previous controller, they have a little bit more play, a little bit more travel distance, I guess you would say. I am very much growing to like this tension though on the on the right stick that I'm using, this little bit of additional tension. I do think this feels good. It feels very different. It's very, very weird, but I think that the more I get used to it, the more this will be something I really, really like. So I'm going to probably end up sticking to that. The triggers are something I'm noticing that actually feel a little heavier as well. They do feel like they have more tension, as is the theme, I guess, with a lot of this controller. It feels a little like you have to put a little bit more pressure to fully press down the trigger, which again isn't totally a bad thing. This might be a byproduct, honestly, of the fact that they added 3 stages to the trigger stop. So you have that kind of, this guy's juking me. You kind of have that very, very minimal amount, so that half step for the trigger stop, and then you also have very, like, nearly like button press instantaneous trigger presses. So again, there's the half step, and then there's the full trigger stop, and then of course the full trigger press. It's really hard to talk and play at the same time, to be honest. I'm really bad at it. But these are kind of my impressions of the controller, again, at just playing with it like the first or second time now. I think I'm really going to like this in the long term. It's just, again, if you're coming from an Elite Controller 1, it feels very, very different. Like, very, very different. So, definitely going to be a lot of getting used to. But even right there, like, I feel like I have a lot more control with this added tension. A lot more potential precision. The way I used to aim a lot of the time was I use my left stick actually to make my fine movements. So when I'm making fine movements, I actually just snap to a target and then use your left stick to kind of just follow them like this. If I was focusing on Southern, kind of just using my character movement to follow them. So I'd snap and then, you know, like that kind of a thing. Snap and then just use my left stick kind of to follow things. But now with this added tension, I feel like I have a little bit more control and precision over like actually using my right stick to follow targets, which is nice. That's something that I've been feeling like I'm lacking, and that's very, very welcomed. So I'm liking that a lot. Like right there, that feels really, really clean when it works. And I think the more I get used to this, the better this is going to feel actually. So I'm excited to actually get used to this. Anyways, I don't want to keep you guys for too long. It's been a long video already. I'm very excited about this. So that's my unboxing. Hope you guys enjoyed the unboxing. If you guys are interested in my review on this, again, I'm going to be doing a real review, a full review with more, full opinions after putting some time in with this in about a week, I want to say, and then a long-term review talking about if I had any issues with this and if I can recommend this, of course. I will be talking about, what I enjoy and maybe what I don't like about it so much in the review and whether I think this is buying for you or not. And my reviews obviously are going to be more catered towards first-person shooters players because that's what I play most. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching the unboxing, and I'll see you guys later. See you in the next one. Take care.